Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Sunday, June the 2nd, 2019, 5:34 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So we're going to be looking at methane tonight, and the latest data from CAMS is from yesterday, Saturday, June the 1st, so we're going to look at that. I also have my report from NOAA for 477 millibars. We're going to look at that, and we're going to talk about the outage that happened with Google's cloud server today. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and then do our earthquake report. So it'll be a jam-packed show tonight, and so I hope everyone is doing well, and sit back and let's see what's going on. So here we have the Arctic view for surface level pulled up, and this is where the data left off. Oh, let me refresh this, get the right chart here. Everybody's got new AI bots, I think, and you have to go through all these new things of refreshing to get everything right. So that's the right color chart now, and so here's where it left off on Friday in the Arctic, and we're still seeing, even though it's in the green, it is releasing. And like I've been saying, if we were on the old color chart or old color code before they changed it in December, all of this would be orange and yellow up here. So just because it looks green doesn't mean we're out of the woods. So this color of green, these colors of green that are releasing are anywhere between about 1940 to 1980 parts per billion. This chartreuse green is 2000 parts per billion. Then when you get into the yellow, it's 2020 parts per billion. Then it goes on up. So let's load this movie up. So the data is from Saturday, and then the forecast period goes through Wednesday of next week. So what we're seeing in the forecast period, we're seeing this release continuing in the Kara Sea to the east of Novaya Zemlya. We're seeing this area in Siberia continuing to build and release. We're starting to see waves of methane releasing again. And now watch this wave come up here through the Yamal Peninsula into the forecast period, and then out into the Arctic Ocean here. And we're seeing Norway is having a lot of methane. Norway, Sweden, and Finland. And we're going to see a lot from China and Japan. When we look at a larger view, we're having high releases out of Alaska now. We're seeing high releases across Canada. This is the area where the wildfires are burning in Canada, in Alberta, and there are coal sands up there, and so it's, once a fire starts in those coal sands, it's unbelievable, the heat and all the different noxious gases that come out, and it's hard to put them out. They've had to evacuate lots of people out of different towns, and it's awful. And then here's another area of Canada that's started releasing a lot. So now let's take a peek at the North Pole view. and we'll get to see the whole northern hemisphere. We'll load this up. We're also seeing these releases in the ocean. See the green waves coming across? This is from the surface of the ocean, and so this is high levels of methane in the Pacific and also in the Atlantic, all in this northern hemisphere. And then we've got high releases in the United States down through the Mississippi Valley area where they've had all that flooding and moving across, and high releases on the eastern seaboard and also on the Canadian border here. Also, California is showing a lot more methane release. Now when we look at China, it's pretty covered up in methane, comes all the way up. This is Japan over here. It's got a lot of methane. This is Korea here. Here's northern India that's covered up. Here's Saudi Arabia. So the methane levels are increasing. I think we are heading into the increase now. Whatever decrease we had, I think, is over with. So now let's go to the global view and we'll see what's going on here. We can see high releases still in South America. Now they're moving into their winter season, but the equator runs right through this part of South America, so it never gets cool. So this top part from about here is always hot, always around the equator. So you're always going to see high methane releases around here. And but we're still seeing some high releases down further like right down here at the very tip of South America. We're seeing high methane, and then over here on the right hand side as well. Here's the southern tip of Africa. There's a volcano. There's an active volcano down there. And now let's show 500 HPA. That's the closest to the 477 that from the NOAA reading. So this is 500 HPA. So that's about halfway up in the atmosphere, or about 18,000 feet up. That's what the methane looks like. We can see it's really gathered over the Arctic. We can see some pretty high levels over here in China and or over China there. Also, if you look at total column, we're seeing very high readings in the total column over China and northern India. So that goes all the way up through the atmosphere. So that's much worse than this time last year on total column. And I should go back and show some of my videos from last year. And I've been doing this, showing CAMS for about a year now, and a little over a year. And it's dramatic, the changes that we've seen. So it's definitely dramatic. Now we can also, while we're here, just take a peek at some of the other greenhouse gases. Here is ozone total column. So we're seeing the ozone hole move back down to the South Pole here. We're seeing we're seeing what had been so dark up here starting to spread out and move down here around the South Pole area, and we still have this thinning around the mid latitudes. It's still thin, so there's that. And then here's sulfur dioxide from today, and we're not seeing any blowouts. The largest ones we're seeing are from here, Popocatépetl in Mexico. Here's Hawaii with the volcanoes still going off there. Here's Alaska. This is in Canada where those wildfires are burning. And then over here, this is over China, and this is from pollution. And this is India is from pollution, and Saudi Arabia is from pollution. Down here in South Africa, there are volcanoes. Down here, there are volcanoes along this western side of South America. And then here over through Indonesia, we see a lot of earthquakes and volcanic activity as well. So where you see like through the United States, where you see like the cream colored, that's all pollution. This is pollution. This is pollution. And the green is pollution. So that's total column there. And then we can, while we're making the rounds, let's look at carbon dioxide. And here's where it is. This is as of yesterday. That's the latest reading that they had. And so this is total column, and we can see that it's really, that's the highest right over here over India. If we ran the movie, that cloud would probably be moving somewhat. We've got to load that up. See if that wants to load. Sometimes you gotta refresh before it'll load up. Here it goes. So here's this wave moving across the Atlantic from the United States. Now this is total column. Here it is over India and moving across. I thought it would be higher over China, but it's highest over India right now. But if you go back and look, like this time last year, if we looked at carbon dioxide this time last year from my videos, there was some blue down here in the southern hemisphere. We're not seeing any blue now. It's the lowest we're seeing is like this brownish green color, which is about 409 parts per million. So we can see that it's definitely getting worse as we watch this month by month, week by week, day by day, week by week, month by month. We can watch the earth suffocate, and we're suffocating with it. And we have respiratory problems. I definitely have respiratory problems, as you can hear it in my voice. But it's all coming apart. It's just a matter of watching it all unfold. Okay, here's an article from Zero Hedge from today about the outage. Says, did the government just test the internet kill switch? Here's a quote. I felt a great disturbance in the farce, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I wonder if he meant force. Okay. At 3 p.m. Eastern Time, it appears that Google Cloud, affecting Gmail, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook, among others, mysteriously and almost unprecedentedly went offline. And for me, it affected me with Vimeo. Vimeo was totally down, and I've got a Vimeo account, and I put videos over there too. And I also was affected on YouTube. I couldn't get into my creator studio. I could get on YouTube and see everything, and I could play videos, but I couldn't comment or look at comments or go to my creator studio, which is where you upload. So that's all back up now, and Vimeo's back up now. It also, by the way, affected, I don't know if this was the same outage, but people's EBT cards, electronic benefits cards here in the United States, were not working. So I don't know if that's part of the same thing or what. Systemic network outage may have just occurred. Here's Google Cloud, Google Compute Engine, Gmail, Google Drive, Nest, YouTube, Snapchat, Uber, NextDNS, Pokemon Go, App Engine. But Google advertising was up. Now, what is that about? Of course their advertising was up, but all this other stuff, in addition to all these other things, were down. Google Cloud Status Dashboard. This page provides status information on the services that are part of Google Cloud Platform. Check back here to view the current status of the services listed below. If you're experiencing an issue not listed here, please contact support. Learn more about what's posted on the dashboard in this FAQ. For additional information on these services, please visit cloud.google.com. And this incident, number 19003, says we are experiencing a multi-region issue with Google Compute Engine. And the incident began on June the 2nd, 2019 at 12:25 p.m. 12:25, all times are U.S. Pacific. Oh, Pacific, yeah, so it would have been 3:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Says we are investigating an issue with Google Compute Engine. We will provide more information by Sunday, 12:45 p.m. One Google insider explains via Y Combinator, says, I work on Google Cloud, but disclaimer, I'm on vacation and so not much use to you. We're having what appears to be a serious networking outage it's disrupting everything, including, unfortunately, the tooling we usually use to communicate across the company about outages. So they couldn't even communicate to each other about the outage. There are backup plans, of course, but I wanted to at least come here to say you're not crazy, nothing is lost to those concerns down thread, but there is serious packet loss at the least. I don't know what that is. You'll have to wait for someone actually involved in the incident to say more. The internet is having a very bad day. So here are a lot of the services that were affected. Here was, and it says, so far no one has blamed Russia yet. Here's the Google outage map, and it mainly, I don't know, I think it affected some other countries too, but it mainly affected the United States, the Northeast. It looks like Florida. It looks like some of the Midwest, parts of Texas, the Pacific Northwest, looks like parts of Canada, a lot of California. I'm right here in Reno, so I was affected. It says East Coast suffering worst of Google Cloud outage for now. Europe is also affected, it looks like. The UK, it looks like France, the Netherlands and Belgium and parts of Germany. It says, and then Charles, these are, I guess these are tweets or some messages. With Google down, we learn a valuable lesson about hosting services on other people's infrastructure. Zero Hedge says the notification gateway to advise Google the cloud is down is also on the cloud and is down. Twitter is beside itself. So this has been the big thing today. Here someone says, if you have friends using Google Cloud Platform, it's a good time to send them thoughts and prayers. And then Zero Hedge says, did the government just test fire its internet kill switch? You know, I don't think it was that. Personally, I think they uploaded some new AI software and it had to sync up with everything. That's my thought, since it affected all these things. And you can also go to down detector and see what's down, what's up. We can look right here, Google. So here was the outage here, and it's gone way down. So now it's down to 417 reports. Up here, there at the most was 4,373 reports at 1 o'clock. And then they have comments. And so on. So this down detector, you can check on all of these different services. Google Drive, Google Cloud, that was the one. It looks like it's still having some issues, but it's down to 85 reports. Live outage map. Let's see, Google Cloud outage map right now. They're still having some issues. It looks like South America is affected. So We'll see if I'm able to upload this video onto YouTube. I should be able to, because I was able to get back into Creator Studio. You can also, on this down detector, you can also search, like Vimeo was down. And you can see, like, here were all the reports, 597 up here, and now it's down to 16 reports. And Vimeo's back up for me. So they all started right at the same time, because they all use the Google Cloud server. So this is the new world, you know, and this is why they're going to use 5G, and they're, you know, it's the whole thing. So, you know, I just think it's time to leave. I'm tired. I am not wanting to transition into an AI world run by robots. Seriously. And everybody having to upload and interface and become transhumanists, and I am not wanting to participate in that. I will not participate, and I won't get chipped, won't bow down to the beast. I will not. They can kill me. I don't care. I'd rather not be here in that kind of world. It's a totally artificial world is what we're headed into. And we're so dependent. We're totally dependent on all of this technology. Totally. Unless you want to become a caveman, go back to Stone Age, and that's what it's going to be. But with abrupt climate change, hopefully it'll end everything before we get to that point. Anyway, so we have USGS pulled up here. Oh, before we go there, I just want to show the Oroville lake levels. They have they increased the outflows. The outflows have been at around 11,500 for a while now. The inflows they've been up and down. The highest the inflow was 15,493. That was at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And now the inflow is right around 5,000. But expect warm weather. Warm weather is coming in this week for California and Nevada, and that snowpack is going to start melting. There's a lot of it too. So at 5 o'clock, the lake level was 894.75. So it's going down slowly. So let's see if they've got 6 o'clock up yet. No. So it went down. Yesterday it went down 0.17 feet. So that's where we're at with that. So we're just waiting to see if they're going to open the spillway or not. So they didn't say for sure. They said they were, I keep repeating myself, sorry, that they're preparing to open the spillway if they need to. So here we are on USGS for the last 24 hours. All magnitudes were up to 400 earthquakes, and we're swarming in a couple of areas here in the US. Down in Southern California and in Nevada, we've got swarming going on. So that's not comforting. Of those, we have 46 that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So this 4.7 is that came in is on the southern mid-Atlantic ridge. It came in at 6:07 last night, right down here, right on the red line. That's the first one to come off the map. Some of these are an overlap from yesterday. Here's this 4.5 near Iran Shahar, Iran, that came in at 6:16 last night, right up here. 2.6 at Glen Avon, California, that came in at 6:41 last night. That's where it's swarming, one of them. And 3.5 at Alamo, Nevada, the other place is swarming. That came in at 6:52 last night. So we already showed that one. Let's start down here in South America. Here's a 4.1 Iabaya, Peru. This came in at 9:11 this morning, 120 kilometers deep. You know what? I forgot part of my methane report. I'll do it at the end. I hope I remember. So here's a 4.5 near Antofagasta, Chile. This came in last night at 8:21 p.m. Here's a 4.6 La Ligua, Chile. This came in at 12:49 p.m. today, this afternoon. Here's a 4.7 West Chile Rise at 10:54 this morning, right on the red line. Now coming across the Pacific, we've got two right here near Ohonua, Tonga. A 5.9 at 3:36 this morning, and a 4.9 at 8:43 this morning. Next was this 4.9 near Seva-i-Ra, Fiji, at 2:24 this afternoon. Now right here, down here, where is this? This is these are in these volcanic islands in Indonesia. It's 4.8 near Simpah, Indonesia, at 5:05 this morning, 173 kilometers deep. Here's two at Pondaguitan, Philippines, a 4.5 and another 4.5. Next, coming on around, here's a 5.3 off the coast of Sumatra near Padang Sidampuan, Indonesia, at 8:03 last night. Here's a 4.6 near Maulabo, Indonesia, at 5:42 this afternoon. Here's one on land in Japan, 3.2 near Tateyama, Japan, at 3:41 this morning. Then these islands are Russian. the Kurils Islands. Here's a 4.3. They're calling it near Vostok, Russia, at 12:56 this afternoon, 180 kilometers deep. And a 4.6, Kuril Islands at 2:53 this morning, 91 kilometers deep. We saw this one in Iran. Then up here in Turkey, a 4.5 near Hendek, Turkey, at 6:08 this morning. Very shallow, 4.4 kilometers. So that is all of the international earthquakes. So now, let's dig in to all magnitudes and start over here in Hawaii. We've got 13 here. So, movement is picking up. 2.3 Pipikio, 2.8 Mauna Loa, 2.3 Mauna Loa. Let's zoom in a little more. Here's a 1.8 Leilani Estates, 2.0 Volcano. Now that's on the flanks of Kilauea. And a 1.8 also on the flanks of Kilauea. And these are down here at Pahala. 1.8, 1.8, 1.7, 2.3, 1.7, and a 2.4 out in the ocean there. So that's an uptick in activity, definitely. Now, in the Caribbean, look at this. We've got 18 here today. We've just got these two off the coast of Puerto Rico, and then these are clustering at the British Virgin Islands. Looks like they're all in the ocean, so 16 all right here. Got a little swarm going on, and these are not small. Most of them are threes. Here's a 3.4, 3.7, 3.4, 3.3, 3.4, 3.4. So they're getting larger in magnitude. Most of them are in the threes range. So they could get even larger. So there's that. Now let's move on up to Alaska. We've got 89 here today. Here's this 4.1 near Atka at 6:28 this morning. Here's a 2.8 anchor point. And up here at Koktovik, we've got a 3.7 and a 3.0. So those are bigger than we normally see up here. So that's an uptick in magnitude up there. Here's a 2.0 Larsen Bay that just came in. Here's 1, 2. Look, 2 right on the edge here. Here near NOAA, 2.4 and a 1.3. Right on the coast. Here's Kobuk. Kobuk has 12 here today. So we can see that we've got them coming back in this Cook Strait. Here's some around Redoubt Volcano. Here's some in the little armpit. And then here's Anchorage. That's got just a few there today. And then moving on up through the center of the state. And so Koktovik has a total of 6 here. Now let's move down into the lower 48. We're going to start with this 2.2 at New Madrid, Missouri. This came in at 8:02 last night. Now this is in the New Madrid hazard zone, as we were talking about yesterday. And they're running a drill, an earthquake drill, down here in this area today. FEMA's weren't running a drill. Well, through, I think it's through the 7th or the 9th or something like that. So here in Oklahoma, we've got 5 today, a 1.1 at Lindsay, a 3.1 at Holdenville, 2.6 Holdenville, 1.1 Perry, and a 1.9 Helena. So so that 3.1 is higher than we normally see. And it's flooding down there too. Of course, we got the Mississippi flooding, and it's the Arkansas River's flooding, and it's a mess. It's awful. It's just awful. Now up here in Yellowstone today we have 3. We've got 0.4 at Polson, 1.3 Manhattan, and a 1.6 at Chalice. Then up here in the Pacific Northwest, we've got 3 here today. We've got a 1.3 and a 1.2 at Morton. Those are both at Mount St. Helens, that's a volcano, and a 1.1 at Carson. And I have the tremor map pulled up. This is for June the 1st, so yesterday. They had 240 yesterday. And they had a whole swarm of them on Vancouver Island, and then a whole swarm down by Medford, Oregon. So that's an uptick. So now the tremors are what happen before we see earthquakes. Now up here in Northern California, here's one, 1.7. You're calling it near McLeod, but it's near Shasta. Here's Mount Shasta. So this 1.7 came in at 6:53 p.m. last night. And this is Lake Shasta. That's a reservoir that's pretty full. And then coming on down, here's Lake Almanor. That's another reservoir that's full. Here's Lake Oroville that we've been talking all about. The dam is right down here. That's full. And so here are the earthquakes in Northern California. 1.3 and a 0.8, both near Portola, and then a 1.1 on the southern end of Portola. So we've had 3 there. And then we've got 2 more in Tahoe, Lake Tahoe. We've got a 0.6 and a minus 0.2 that happened in Lake Tahoe. There were 2 there yesterday too. And then here in Nevada, here's a 0.5 at Urington, There's a 2.1 Hawthorne and a 2.0 Hawthorne. And then here's this swarm down in southern Nevada near Area 51. This is Alamo. But in this whole southern Nevada area, we have 30 here today. So let's see what was 2.5 magnitude or higher. Only one, that 3.5, that came in last night at 6:52 p.m. 2.2 kilometers deep. So not very deep. So most of these are ones and under. It looks like the rest of them are ones and under. And there's not even any blasting going on today. The earthquake makers are not working today because it's Sunday. So if you've got 400 earthquakes without the blasters, just think what it would be with the blasters. Well, we're up to 402 earthquakes now. Here at Mammoth Lakes, we've got 4. The largest one is this 2.4 at Round Valley. Got a couple here at near Beatty. Now at the Coso Junction area, we've got 7 here today. These are small, they're ones and under. I want to come down this west side of California before we get into Southern California. Here's one, 1.6 near Redway. So this is right next to this juncture point of the Cascadia subduction zone, the Juan de Fuca plate, and the San Andreas fault. Here's a 1.7 Redwood Valley. The Geysers has 31 here today. These are ones and under. Then in the San Francisco area is a 2.1 near Oakland. Coming on down the San Andreas fault line, 1.6 New Idria and a 1.8, same place. Here's a 2.0 Kettleman City. We've got 3 right here at Kalame. 2.0, 1.9, and 1.6. Then 2.1 Rosedale. And now coming into Southern California, this is Glen Avon. It's been swarming. I've been showing it. Finally, some other people have shown it too. Here's a 2.1 on the border. Looks like it's in Baja. 2.1 Progreso, Baja. And a 1.0 Campo. 1.7 Imperial. So in Southern California today, we've got 161 total. That's the highest I've seen since I've started reporting. I've been reporting on earthquakes since December of last year. So here's this cluster. Let's look at this first. Here's a 3.4 Nuevo. 1.2 and a 1.4 and a 1.2 all at the same place. I'm almost afraid to look at Glen Avon. So let's go. Let's go in here. There's 129 right here. So let's see what's 2.5 magnitude or higher. We saw those at Nuevo. Okay, Glen Avon. We've got 6 that are 2.5 or higher. I'll call those off. 2.6, 2.6, 3.1, 3.3, 2.6, and 2.7, and that one came in at 5:14 this afternoon. So 129 right there. So where there's little ones, it can definitely lead to bigger ones. The Prado Dam is right down here. Not very far away from all those earthquakes. So the majority of them were right there. Then the rest of them were peppered around. So I think that's it. Let's zoom out and see. Uh-oh, we've got a new one over here. No, I showed that. Did I show that? Mulabo, Indonesia. Yeah, I showed that. At 5:42 this afternoon. No. So there's a wrap for the earthquakes. Now, I downloaded the NOAA charts, or this is their depiction when you go to get the readings. I've shown that. So this is 477 millibar when you click on the picture, but then the pressure they show is 469, but either way. So here's the METOP-1 satellite for the AM, and look at all the missing data, all the white spots that they say is missing data, and the gray spots is no data. So the high was 2,309 parts per billion, and that's in the fuchsia color, and that corresponds to what we saw on CAMS. But we can see there's also some down here in the southern hemisphere, and also very close to the Antarctic. So that high reading, and the mean was, or the average for this reading right here is 1875 parts per billion. And then here's the same satellite for PM. Now this is all from yesterday, and so here's the missing data in here, and the high was 2384 parts per billion, and then the mean was 1877. And now look at this, look at all the missing data here. This is the METOP-2 satellite for the AM, and it's huge areas of missing data, huge. So I don't even know how they can come up with an accurate reading. But the high was 2256 parts per billion, and the mean was 1856. And then here it is, met op 2 in the afternoon. And here's where the missing data is on this satellite, or this reading. And the high was 2221 parts per billion, and the mean was 1854. So breaking all that down to what does this mean for us, I added up all those numbers here, took all those numbers and added them up and divided by 4, and the average for 477 millibars for this week, for yesterday, was 1865.50 parts per billion. So here it is on the chart. So it went up since last week. It looks like 2.25 parts per billion. So I think we're on the rise. And from March the 1st, it's gone way up. We started at 1857.25 on March the 1st. So there you go. I think we're definitely on the rise now, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. So I'll go ahead and sign off for now, and I do believe we are in the end times, and I recommend everyone get your spiritual house in order while you still have a chance. And until next time, God bless everyone. Go in peace and good night.